one thing that I think we know, and I have found out, it's really important to spend some time alone and some time to really contemplate our life. Uh, One of the things that we know are really self-actualizing individuals, and Maslow found this out a long time ago, have one thing in common, and that very thing in common that every self-actualizing person that he studied had in common is they spend a minimum of maybe an hour a day alone, either in meditation or prayer, walking on a path or a road, alone in the forest, in the mountains, sitting by a stream or by a fireplace, or maybe just listening to music. So I think it's important for us to be really sincere and honest with ourselves and spend some time, some quality time with ourselves and reflecting. I also think that it's important for us to be willing to experience our emotions, our feelings, to experience our heart, and not suppress or disown aspects of ourselves. Of course, the major reason is craving and attachment. Those were discovered by the Buddha 2,500 years ago. We all have cravings and attachments. But let me give it a little twist, a little spin, something that I think might be really helpful for those viewing this. And that is, think about how much you care. Just think about that for a moment. How much you care. You care about, of course, your own life, your children, your family, your loved ones. You care about your wife or your husband. You care about your parents. You care about the world. You care about the planet. You care about the future of the planet. Just think of how much you care. And we usually think, well, maybe I don't care enough. Maybe I should care more. And that's true. All of us could care more. But we also don't look at that caring as maybe an attachment. I care so much that I'm actually binding myself without even a rope because I am so caring, I am so loving towards others, and of course I could be more, but that binds me because out of this caring, what I'm not doing is being free. Then think of that as the left-hand side of the triangle again, and think about that caring as an attachment, as a craving. I crave to care more. I'm attached to maybe satisfying my partner or fulfilling my mother or making my husband happy or being there for another. I care so much that I'm all frustrated. I feel disappointment. I feel maybe guilty that I don't do enough. I'm not there enough. Then take the other side of the triangle. Let's just shift to the other side of the triangle, the base of the triangle, where I don't care. I'm not attached. I let go. I drop all that caring. And I have an attitude here, which could be quite immature, of not caring. But it could also be very mature that out of this not caring, I'm free to care more. But without it being a cause of suffering. In other words, if we take the right-hand side of the triangle as detachment or as liberation, nirvana, these are all terms that we could use for the right hand. It's the transcendent. If we take the right-hand side of that triangle to be freedom from attachment, freedom from craving, freedom from desire, freedom from fear, freedom from all these things that bind me, and then at the apex, we see that on one hand, I deeply, deeply care about this world. I care about its future. I care about all the species on this planet, not just the human species. I not only care about the human and species, I care about the animate and inanimate things. I care about the rocks. I care about the seashells. I care about the sand on the beaches. I care, I care, I care. But because I've gone to the other extreme of the other side of the triangle of not caring at all, I am free to care and still in that caring have a sense that I'm not overwhelmed by it and I'm not frustrated by it and I'm not guilty about it all. So at the apex, it allows us to approach our life in a way that is fully functioning. In other words, I'm in touch with my deepest feelings and emotions, and yet I'm not particularly attached. There was a great koan by two great Zen masters, and let me just share this with you. One of the masters was named Obaku, and he was one of the all-time great masters, and he had a great student named Rinzai. And in fact, two of the three schools in Japan of the Zen schools, one's the Soto school, the other's the Rinzai school, and the third, it's a smaller school, is the Obaku. So two of these characters of these lineages were in this koan, and Rinzai was the young student, probably in his early 20s, and he was out working in the field and working hard all day. In those days, they did a lot of work in the field. He's coming back into the monastery, and his teacher's sitting there under a tree, all cool, chilled out, you know, sitting there in meditation. And he sees the young monk coming in, and he says to him, "Hey, I see that you've been hard at it. You've been working hard. You're all sweaty and all that." And the young monk says, "Yes, but you should know the one who's not hard at it." And what he was doing in that response, and it was a beautiful response, he was demonstrating the triangle. So the teacher's talking about the left-hand side of the triangle. There's one who's working hard, who's efforting, who's trying to become something or make something or provide something or do something. And the young monk, who was already very enlightened, said, "But you should know the other side." Of course, his teacher knows the other side, but he says that. He said, "You should know," meaning I'm also aware that there's one who's never hard at it. There's one who's always free. There's one who is not efforting and trying, who is at rest, at peace, in just being, in that state of mind. And I occupy both. I embrace both as who I am. I'm hard at it, and yet there's one who's not hard at it. An enormous amount. You know, I think we're coming to the place where we're realizing that so much of our illnesses, like I myself, I went through cancer. 6 years ago, I had mouth cancer, a tumor next to my uvula, more than 2 centimeters, and went through 6 weeks of radiation. And I think it was brought about by not getting enough rest. My immune system was really down. I'd spent nearly 30 years getting up very early in the mornings, like 4:30 or 5, and working all the way through till late at night, living on maybe 3-4 hours of rest and sleep. And I think we know that stress, that not enough rest, that meditation could allow us to truly rest and truly relax. Because I wasn't doing a whole lot of meditation. I was doing so much teaching at that point. In the earlier years, I did 10, 12 hours of meditation a day. Sometimes as long as 9 months of the year, I was meditating 10, 12 hours a day. And then all of a sudden, the past, I don't remember how long it was then, maybe 10 years, I was just teaching. So everything was going out. And I would have done well to do more meditation. I think what we can learn from Eastern practice, how to reduce the stress, how to reduce anxiety, how to reduce fear, and how to really truthfully relax, chill out. And the word nirvana can be translated as chilled, or chilled out, or cool, cooled off. You know, we're in that place where there's not a lot of stress, not a lot of pressure. So I think that's one thing. Another thing is the whole big mind, big heart process really allows us, like, the first thing I did when I got my cancer is I spoke to the tumor. Immediately I spoke to the tumor. I spent every night, an hour a night, and I would first talk to the tumor. I'd say, "Tumor, cancer, why are you here?" And you know the first thing it told me? Your life is out of balance. You're doing too much, and you're not spending enough time in meditation. You're not spending enough time in devotion. Your mind, all that you're doing here is trying to help people wake up, but it's too mental. And for all your Zen practice, the past almost 30 years, 35 years, was also very devotional. And you kind of stopped doing the devotional part. My teacher had died in 95, and I'd stopped doing all that devotional practice, and I started doing too much mental. So the first thing the cancer told me, your life is not in tune. Your life is out of harmony. It's not at peace. And you must start bringing back in more heart, more devotion. Up until that moment, I don't think I called it big mind, big heart. I just called it the big mind process. Now I generally, even though it's still the trademark is big mind, I say big mind, big heart, because I included the more devotional, the heart aspect more, because that was out of whack. It was not in balance. The other thing it told me was that there were certain things in my life I had to stop doing. You know, one of them was I had to stop spending time doing things I didn't want to do. And I had to spend more time doing the things that I love to do. The other thing it told me is you got to stop spending so much time with people you don't want to be around, people that are, you know, maybe draining you, maybe demanding too much from you, and you're not happy in that relationship. Stop spending so much time with people you don't really want to be with, and start spending more time with the people you do want to be with. Now, when I'm with someone, they know I want to be with them. I'm not doing it out of some feeling of obligation or I should do this, or I need to do this, or I must do this. If I'm spending time with you, I want to be spending time with you. If I'm doing something, it's because this is what I really want to do. And what I found was the things that I loved to do the most were the things I had been doing, which is helping people wake up, helping people get in touch with some of the parts of themselves that are shadowed or disowned, that will help them feel happier and more fulfilled in their life, getting in touch with things that are blocking their energy. The great Master Rinzai, who I mentioned earlier, once said at the later part of his life, this was like 50, 60 years later, he said, there are only two things that I do anymore in my teaching. I remove barriers and I untie knots. And sometimes our energy is all knotted up. It's like we need a good acupuncture needle right into the center of our being. And I think Big Mind is that needle, where we open ourselves up so that our energy is flowing again. The cancer told me this. My energy wasn't flowing well. Also, we may have certain barriers, certain decisions maybe we made as children. Like I made a decision, I only got in touch with this just recently. In fact, I just had my 65th birthday 3 weeks ago, and I had a very great liberation on my birthday. It was the greatest present I could have had. One of the things I got in touch with was in my relationship with my mother, I held a lot of guilt because I could never, ever make my mother happy or pleased, never satisfy her. And what I realized was I held this tremendous guilt that I could never live up to her expectations. And I've carried this into my life. What a liberation to realize and drop that. To realize that and to drop that and be free from that guilt of trying to make somebody else happy, to make somebody else fulfilled, to make somebody else feel satisfied in their life. That's their responsibility, and I can't do it anyways. So what a liberation. So at that moment, I also liberated all my students and all my successors. I wrote an email to my successors, and I have like 13 successors, and I wrote an email to them and I said, you're now free. It is your Dharma, your teaching that you're carrying on. It's no longer mine. And it's your responsibility. It's your life. And you're free. And who are you free from? Me. I'm setting you free. I'm cutting the umbilical cord. I'm kicking you out of the nest. And you're free to live your life and to spread the teachings, the Dharma, however you see fit. And I'm not going to ask anything of you. Now, that could look like detachment, cop-out, I don't care, right? Because that's where it came from. All of a sudden, I saw the me and the my, the I in this, the me in this, like my teachings, my Dharma. And I was attached to that they do a good job in carrying that forward. And when I dropped the my and the me and the mine out of it, it became their Dharma or the Dharma, not mine, not the possessive. My wife, my husband, my children, my mother, my father. It's now they're all human beings and they're all people in their own right, and I don't own them. I don't possess them, nor am I owned by them or possessed by them.